This week in the news, there were reports that up to 1 in 4 children starting reception school are not toilet trained. It's a shockingly high figure. And this was discussed by Nick Ferrari on LBC during his breakfast show. And I rang and I made the following contribution.
Sanjay in Harrow. Sanjay, you work in nursery education, is that right? Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Nick.
Hello.
I'm a children's nursery manager in Harrow, West London, and I have a slightly contrary view here in that I think it is a nursery's responsibility for potty training to a great extent, 90% extent, I'm thinking. And the reason is that we are best placed with the child because we deal with their consistency education, we deal with their routines, and importantly, they are learning with their peers, the other children, and they learn from the other children regarding potty training. And the third point I'd raise is that, we are professionals in the area of child development, so we pick up the right signs and we are able to deal with that. Finally, we're in the best position to support working parents. Working parents have lots of other things that they're busy with. We are in the best position to actually help them.
What of Danny, who called in earlier? The ratio is 1 to 5. Obviously, that's not going to be the same as 1 to 1 if you're if you're toilet training your own child.
Sure. So nurseries, if you're maxed out at 1 to 5 all the time, then that is probably a little red flag in the way you organise yourself, because if there is a see what you're going to deal with. Within that, though, you can actually break your ratios for a little while, 15, 20 minutes, if you needed to, and therefore, and that's allowed in the Ofsted's early year standards. So you can actually do that. But the thing is, the quicker you potty train them, the more time it frees up because you don't have to do the nappies.
Sanjay, thank you.
Since the 60s, there has been a child-focused attitude to toilet training, where the child actually gives the signs and signals to the parents or their nursery educators to say that they want to go to the toilet, and that's when the typical toilet training process starts. And I think with the advent of disposable nappies in particular, what this has meant is that the child, being cocooned in this warm, snuggly nappy, gets lazy. They don't, they can do the wee in the nappy, they can bow pass in the nappy, and just wait for the nappy to be changed. And for them, it's just a easy option. They therefore don't give the signs and signals when they should. And what this means is that the adult misses these signals and signs, and the toilet training process is then delayed. And I think we're seeing a consequence of that. Obviously, COVID and that period is also something that's a big contributing factor in my opinion. But there is this tendency that, the children get potty trained later and later, and then therefore more and more children go to their junior school and they're not toilet trained. There is clinical evidence and experience that suggests that child benefits from early toilet training. In particular, their bowel and the bladder maturity, which typically happens in the early months, gets developed quicker, which is obviously to the advantage of the child. There's also research that suggests that if this toilet training is delayed 2 years plus, then it does lead to maybe increased cases of incontinence in early childhood. And the other research to the contrary is that if the child is toilet trained earlier, then this bowel and bladder maturity is actually aided much faster and much quicker. So that's the positive side to early toilet training. The Bladder and Bowel charity in the UK have a wonderful one-step type of process for toilet training, and we use that in the nursery, and it works. And the reason it works is because we treat toilet training as a skill, as a learnt skill. So it's not a child-centered approach, but a more proactive approach of saying this is a set of skills that a child can learn. Adults and educators can teach the child to do this, and typically this process means that the child is toilet trained much earlier. The first step is to set the scene. So if you're at home, do your nappy changing in the bathroom, so they can actually see the toilet and the shower cubicle, and they understand that this is where this activity takes place. You can also, if they're bowel pass, is to actually drop the feces into the toilet bowl, just so they can see where it should be. And in their mind, it sets a scene that this is actually what should be happening at a very young age. As early, as 6 months, why not? 8 months, why not? You can do this as early as that. And they will start in their mind to develop the thought that, yeah, this is where this activity should take place, and you're teaching them that. When they are physically developed enough that they can actually sit up on their own or with very little support, you can actually, and we do this in the nursery, buy toilet seats for children. And so the next step then is to actually make them sit there. They don't have to wee or bowel pass, just let them sit there 10-15 minutes. Sometimes parents will use toilet toys that they can. We don't use them in the nursery, but some parents can at home, and it just gets the child used to just sitting there and used to that position. And when they're then ready to actually wee in the toilet and go poo in the toilet, then they already know how to sit. They already know the time, and it makes it much quicker and easier for them. The next phase is really understanding when the child actually will go to the toilet, will need to pee. And this is about adults understanding the child's eating habits, their healthy eating habits, their drinking habits. My staff here are so skilled in this, so skilled, that they will know the children in their care exactly what time they will need to go to the bathroom after they've had a drink or after they've had a meal. And 5 minutes before that time, they will actually proactively ask them to go to the toilet, because they know that it's going to happen. And 9 out of 10 times it happens. So it's about learning the child's rhythm and their cycle, so that accidents don't happen. And once the child is now used to that sequence, then they will proactively start telling you, oh yeah, I need to go to the poo, I need to go to have a wee. And this involves developing their cognitive skills. So they're actually understanding and recognizing the sensation that they have in their bladder, in their bowel. They understand what the sensation means. So that cognitive development needs to be in place at this time for that to happen. Obviously, for a child to tell you that they need to go to the bathroom or toilet, they need communication skills, either to verbalize that or to give you some sort of sign. We use Makaton signs in the nursery for that, or they can actually, children will actually hold your hand and take you to the bathroom to say, look, that's where I want to go to. So it requires communication skills. And then, apart from the communication skills, they need to be emotionally ready by setting the scene early enough and having this process of them sitting and then doing their wee in the toilet. It makes them emotionally ready before you know it. It's always good to, in the early stages, give them some sort of reward for their success. Obviously praise them verbally all the time, and progressively you can drop the reward element but still keep the praise, because really that's the bit that actually they will value the most. So I think in these sort of steps, toilet training can be learnt. One other element of this learning process that works in a nursery very well, because we have a number of children who need to be toilet trained at any one time, is that children learn from other children. So at home, if the siblings are roughly the same, within a couple of years, they'll learn from them. But in a nursery, our children learn from each other. So this is great because peer pressure kicks in, they learn from each other, and toilet training happens actually very, very quickly. So I think what I would encourage parents is to treat toilet training as a learnt skill, not wait for a child-centered approach of saying, I'll wait for signs and signals. Treat it as a learnt skill. You'll find this process will happen much quicker and to the benefit of the child. And so what's the reward for you as a parent to do this? Well, the reward is very, very simple. Less nappies, that saves you money, and the pot of gold at the end of this toilet training rainbow is you'll have more time to play with your child. So that is a real pot of gold for you. So please see how this technique works in the comment below. Please share your success stories. I'd love to learn from you, and do please like and share so that others can also hear my thoughts on this. Thank you.